I would rather be called a nigger, abroad, than for trailer to fall on my head in Lagos. I don't know. I don't know if you get. I would rather. I would not want it. But I'm saying that worst case scenario, I'd rather an European calls me a monkey, you know,
Than
than
being in
for me
Nigeria.
than for me to no, not being a Nigerian, than for me to be in traffic and somebody is robbing me in traffic and help is not in sight.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another educative and enlightening episode of Veegilants. So, today's podcast actually is an eye opener. Well, this topic affects you, it affects I, and it even affects the government. Like, nobody's left out in this topic. So, to discuss this topic with me are actually two returning guests. I have with me Mr. Yusuf Akinwale, a public affairs analyst. He was with me on the 2023 election, competency over religion and ethnicity sentiment. Welcome, Mr. Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Folashade. I will sue you. It's simple. My last name is Akiyemi.
Okay.
Yeah. But very soon I will double my Osu so that you will not be mistaking my last name again.
Okay, sir. I'm so
But but
sorry for that.
interestingly, as always, it's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to learn from you and the other guests. So let's get started.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yusuf, and welcome on board. Um, the other guest with me is Mr. Solomon Adewale. He's the Oyo State coordinator of the Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI, and he's also a member of the International Republic Institute as an election observer. Welcome to the show, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you so much, Ms. Folashade. Thank you for this platform. I look forward to conversing with you and, of course, learning from you and the co-guest, Mr. Yusuf Akinyemi. Thank you.
So let's get started, everyone. So in today's episode, we are discussing the Japa culture and the growing rate of migration among the Nigerian youth. So for our foreign listeners, Japa, you might have heard of people saying Japa, Japa, want to Japa to somewhere, want to Japa to somewhere. So Japa is actually derived from a Yoruba word. It means to leave, but in this context, it means to leave one's country for greener pastures. So according to the United Nations International Migration Report, as of 2020, we have a total of 1.67 million Nigerians that are international migrants around the world. So my first question would actually be directed to Mr. Solomon. So, Mr. Solomon, why do you think Nigerians are migrating en masse? And also, how do you think the government can work towards making the Nigerian dream work here in Nigeria?
All right, thank you. While you asked the question, I just felt this deja vu like I had seen today before. Um, okay, so why are Nigerians leaving for the first and second world countries? Basically, it's because of the limited opportunities here. And when I talk about limited opportunities, I'm also talking about, even your rights to live. It's sad that the Nigeria that we live in today, your chances of living till the next day is not really guaranteed. So if you are not killed by robbers, you are kidnapped by unknown gunmen, you're bombed by Boko Haram, a lot of things. So, and the only way you can fulfill destiny first is if you're alive. So I think that's one of the major things. Insecurity is one of the reasons why people are seeking greener pastures, abroad, and also the lack of access, to opportunities. Yeah, basically, I would use myself as a typical example. I was in training with the International Republican Institute since last year to be an international election observer, and part of the course modules included a couple of travel tours, and I was supposed to travel. I am, because the date is not here yet. I am supposed to travel, to Bosnia next week Wednesday to observe their presidential elections. However, I will be forfeiting the opportunity because I'm a Nigerian living in Nigeria, and it's difficult because there's no embassy of Bosnia in Nigeria, and that is why I have to lose out on that opportunity. However, if I was to be in a first or second world country, most of these countries, as long as I have multiple entry visas to any of these countries, not even a residence permit, just a multiple entry visa, it allows me access into Bosnia. So you see, these are the things, you work so hard to get opportunities, and then you lose out on it because you are Nigerian. Education, you cannot say you are going to school to study a 3-year course in 3 years. You have to add miscellaneous 1-2 years, depending on, how generous the government at the time is in adding, bonus years to the number of years you're supposed to spend in school. And the list goes on and on. Is it unemployment? It's at an all-time high post pandemic. Countries around the world are trying to recover, building their economy, making it, withstand, pandemics such as one that we experienced, in the last 2 years. So it's a lot of reasons, it's a lot of challenges. And, sometimes it might not really be because of the strike. Sometimes it's because of the quality of education. I was telling someone that there are certain career paths you cannot follow in Nigeria. There are certain career paths you cannot venture into because you're in Nigeria. Why? Because they simply do not have the resources, the institutions do not have the materials, to get you there.
Mr. Solomon, please let
Basically,
me cut in. So, are you saying being a Nigerian itself is a limit to one's dream and aspiration?
yes and no. I mean, we see Nigerians defy odds to make things happen, but not everybody's going to defy odds, and not everybody's handed opportunities. So Nigeria is not a place that gives you the opportunity to thrive. Nigeria is more like a polytechnic. I am a graduate of a polytechnic, and one of the things I've learned is polytechnics gives you the least opportunity to thrive in life, basically. So that's what Nigeria is. It gives you the least opportunity to become what you want to be. So you don't get things because you should get them. Things that you should get by default of being a human. You have to know someone that knows someone in order to get access to them. So that's what I meant. So you asked the second question, which is how do I think that the government? It's a very tricky one. I think Mr. Yusuf is going to do well there, but let me just say this. I think if the government wants to make the country work, it's going to require hard work and consistent hard work over a period of time, which is not 10 or 20 years. And as it is, the government is not ready to do that. If you are able to create a safe, thriving environment for citizens, young people especially, you give them an environment to thrive. It makes all the difference. And that is why you see, Nigeria is more like the graveyard that Miles Monroe spoke about. Talents that were never achieved, potentials that never saw limelight because of the limiting factors. This is not to say that there are not people who beat all the limitations and all of that. But what I'm saying is, if the government can invest heavily in education, invest heavily in ensuring that the country is safe, and there is access to opportunities, there's access, if you have a business idea, just the way the Chinese government is going to give Chinese citizens who wants to come to Africa, to start a business, loans. If Nigerian government are able to do all of those things, I'm not even saying give us grants to go and start business in other countries. We have a huge population, a huge young population, and we need a lot of money to start a lot of innovative businesses, implement ideas, that is definitely going to grow, thrive, and also spread across the African continent and even to Europe and the rest of the world. So if the government is ready to put in the work, I think Nigeria is going to work. But as it is, it's not looking like it, and that's why, for the first time in a very long time, the rate at which Nigerians are leaving the country is really, really, really alarming.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Solomon, for that detailed explanation. Over to you, Mr. Yusuf.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Solomon. Miss Folashade, when you were introducing Mr. Solomon, you did not include that is my Oga. Should have included that.
Okay.
So having said that, I'll start from the second question, and you said that, can the government make Nigeria work? I think that's the question. It's structured around that. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
The first question is why are Nigerians migrating en masse?
Okay.
And also the second question is how can the government work towards making the Nigerian dream work here in Nigeria?
They don't know how to. That's the answer. They don't know how to. It's sad. There's no amount of English we want to speak here. it all boils down to they don't know how to. I know this is not a political program. I'm supposed to talk about Japa, but let's do a little bit of history.
Okay.
In 1999, Fourth Republic, the one that we are currently, Obasanjo became president. He ruled for 8 years. Before Obasanjo's ascension to presidency, Obasanjo was just a military person. Obasanjo did not build any business. Obasanjo did not build people. He was not a co-founder of a multi-million business. So, but Obasanjo tried because Obasanjo had leadership experiences.
Okay.
Obasanjo single-handedly picked Yar'Adua. Yar'Adua was unwell at that point. He had the leadership experience too because as a politician that came from the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua family, of the Second Republic. And the list goes on and on. If you look down to the people that are people,
Okay.
David Mark, when he became Senate president, he was also part of the military people. So if you look at the coterie of people, the caliber of people who are in government, there are people who don't know how to make life easy. They don't know how it works. It's one thing to say that I really have passion for this. I want to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So our own is we have two issues. One is they don't know how to make it work. The second is they don't even want to make it work. Jokingly, I used to tell my friends that if Nigeria is working, it means that it is more money, for whoever it is that wants to loot money. So the conclusion is that if they knew how to make this place better, they would have done it. For example, look at Lagos. Look at the potential that Lagos has. Lagos economy is bigger than the only economy that is bigger than Lagos economy in Africa is Egypt and South Africa.
Okay.
Lagos is directly behind Ghana. And look at Lagos. So now, if you go on social media, the Lagos they will tell you, is Lagos Island. Meanwhile, when they need votes, they will go down to the mainland, to the Ikorodus, and other places that have become slums, in Lagos. So my point is, with all the potential that places like Lagos have, and I'm saying Lagos because I'm using Lagos as an identifier of the Nigerian society. With all the potential that Lagos has, it is only a very few places on the island. It's not even everywhere. It's a very few community, on the island that are places that you can say, oh, this is Lagos standard. My point is that our people do not know how to make this work. They've never built businesses. So I think what we should first of all do is can we get Nigerians who actually know what Nigerians want? People who can actually make this work. I think that is like the first step. And we cannot get that right on the 2027 because look at the list of people contesting for president. But I deviate. So you said that why are people migrating? Like Mr. Solomon said,
Mr. Yusuf, let me chip in something.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question.
Please go on.
Before you go back to why are people migrating, you made mention of
Yes.
the people we are electing in office. So okay, to the best of my understanding, it's like we are electing politicians and not businessmen. So are you saying we should elect people in the business spectrum to really understand how to grow Nigeria?
I'm saying people who have built things. It doesn't need to be business. It can be people. People who have built things. People who have built communities. Solomon, for example, has not built a business that I know of. But he has built people. He has capacity. He has done it. Let us now look. Let us look for people with that. We should not be mentioning names so that they will not ban your podcast. But if you want to mention, if you look at the kind of people that make our laws inside the strike, the president's daughter graduated abroad. I think it's unsubstantiated. I didn't confirm that, but I think that one of the words of the ASU chairman who graduated recently. So the point is, we live in a society where these guys know that they are largely incompetent, they are clueless, and they don't have shame. So the kind of people we are bringing into power are shameless people. It's one thing to say, I have failed my people, and you now go and you now reflect and say, you know what, for the next 2 years, I want to be focused on my people's development. These people, they don't have shame. So we are voting incompetent, clueless, and shameless people. I don't know if you get.
Okay.
Good. So, so to the question of the mass migration, it's just about the quality of life. See, in Nigeria, they don't consider us, and I'm saying the government, they don't consider us as human beings. Because if you look at the way they treat us, if you look at some of the policies and regulations that guide our life, they don't consider us as human beings. In this same Nigeria, circa 2010, 2012, people were leaving businesses. People were graduating from UK and US. They were coming back to Nigeria. Because it wasn't that Nigeria was El Dorado, but Nigeria had a pathway. We know that if we are following this pathway, in the next couple of years, Nigeria will live up to its standard. Then we went and brought, somebody who's only the only thing in the CV is that he's a coup plotter. That's the only thing in the CV. I will give him 8 years. So if the kind of and I think largely that the kind of people that gets to our leadership circle, I think that they are a reflection of the larger society of who Nigerians are. Where people who don't have standard and who don't have values. But I deviate again. Why are people migrating? It's because quality of life. So government does not treat us as human beings. So we feel that if we go out, regardless of the racist remark, I would rather be called a nigger, abroad, than for a trailer to fall on my head in Lagos. I don't know if you get. I would rather. I would not want it, but I'm saying that worst case scenario, I'd rather an European calls me a monkey,
than being in Nigeria.
Than for me to not being in Nigerian, than for me to be in traffic, and somebody is robbing me in traffic, and help is not in sight.
So you rather choose insecure? You rather choose racist remark over insecurity?
No, I'm saying that worst case scenario. I'm not saying no. Racism is bad. Racism is nobody. No, racists are they are useless people. Racism is bad. It has killed a lot of people. And I would not want to say their pains are not genuine. No, racism is bad. I'm saying that, like Mr. Solomon said, it's better to be alive. For you to even say you want to chase any dream or pursue, any of your career objectives. So my point is, I'd rather somebody calls me a nigger. Hey, nigger, get out of here, than trailer falls on my head in traffic when I'm not doing anything. So the point is, Nigeria is unlivable at this point. There's a way that they've created a society that, as you are going out with, we shall come back home in Jesus' name. And the primary function of government, the primary responsibility of government is the protection of life and properties. So our people, they are failed in that very simple remark. You don't need to go to Borno before something will kill you. No. You can be in the traffic somewhere in town, somewhere in the southwest that's relatively safe, and people will come, they will knock on your car and they'll tell you to submit your belongings. If you don't submit it, they will injure you. Sometimes they even forcefully break, people's car windshield, among others. So my point is, there's a way the Nigerian government and the Nigerian leadership they've created a society that, that is except you have money, whatever means you got in. Like, we don't create value in Nigeria. So if you are trying to create value, Nigeria will frustrate you. You are creating value, Nigeria will frustrate you. I can mention, off the top of my head, businesses that government regulation are folded. They've folded up because of government regulation. And the very simple one is Gokada in Lagos. They were thriving. When OPE came, OPE was thriving as what's it called? As a tech logistics company. Regulation killed them. OPE now, if not that they went to fintech, they would have run out of market. Look at what happened to Gokada. So my point is, the Nigerian leadership does not even have any care. They don't care for people who are poor, and those are actual electorate. So they just treat us like this one are animals. Anything we give them, they will take it like that. I would stop here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yusuf, for
Yeah.
the detailed explanation. Talking about Nigerian don't create value, that will kind of like bring me to my next question because you kind of like divert to that part. So we've actually seen people leave the country. A lot of people have been leaving the country and migrating for greener pastures, and we also see what I will call reverse migration, like people coming over there to Nigeria to invest. And I would make mention of someone in Aboyeji, who is the co-founder of Andela, and he also like built Flutterwave. So, what is actually your take on this? Is these people are coming from there, they've experienced there, and they are coming over here to invest. So, can you still say Nigeria doesn't create value with that?
No, no, no. I'm saying that government does not support Nigerians that create value. We would rather celebrate ill-gotten wealth, and that's not government alone; it's the society. And I've said that, our leadership is a reflection of the larger society. So let's talk about Flutterwave. Hmm? For
Okay.
every successful business endeavor like Flutterwave, there are 10 that have failed.
No, no,
Now,
no,
when
not
we look
10.
at, but
More than 10, maybe 100,
but
Seth.
but you understand. But we won't go into the details so that they will not ban your podcast. Like I said earlier. Now, these people that are saying that they are coming back, it's not that they are coming back to create something that is entirely new. If you look at the structure of Flutterwave, it has the same semblance with the Nigerian banking system that is already in establishment. So basically,
Yes.
what the people over there, what they notice is that, if we come back and okay, the truth is because Nigeria does not work, you can get away with a lot of things as long as you have money. You're Nigerian first, so you know that if I have this idea and I bring it to Nigeria, before we meet one or two persons, we'll make money. So I'm
Okay.
saying that Nigerians that are creating value that do not have access, the kind of access that Flutterwave has, regulation has killed them. Regulation has chased them out of business. Small startups that got the initial seed funding and all those technical terms, and they've started operation. It's regulation. Nigeria chased them with regulation. So my point is the country is not a conducive environment for businesses to thrive.
So, are you
You
saying
know,
these regulations are bad? Because I feel
regulations
these
that
regulations are put
okay.
in place to like
Mm.
limit some things and the things that would affect Nigeria themselves. So, in your opinion, do you think these regulations are bad, or they should be the Nigerian government should be considerate of this startup themselves and try
No,
to sit in the middle and balance things out?
regulations in itself is not bad, but of course, with everything Nigerian, it is now the adjudication of these policies. It is now when you want to carry out these policies, that is when there's issue. Now, what specific regulation that will better the lives of Nigerians did the Lagos government have before they banned Okada? And if this topic was businesses that regulation has killed in Nigeria, I would have given you examples of businesses that Nigerian regulation has killed. You understand? So if we want to talk Flutterwave, at least Flutterwave caters to people who use. Oh, now how many percent of Nigeria does Flutterwave serve in comparison to ShopRite that left? Do you understand? So
Yeah.
if Nigerians, because we are very poor people, we are a poor country. So if we cannot, if consumables are living, and we're not talking tech, how many people use the normal traditional banks, let alone fintechs? I don't know if you get.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yusuf, for that. Mr. Solomon, what's your take on this?
Yes, I just wanted to just share something as regards to things that I had experienced in my few journey out of Nigeria. And that is just to buttress what Mr. Yusuf said. When you see people from the diaspora coming back to Nigeria, most likely it's not usually because they are interested in the growth of the country. It's because they see an opportunity, and I want to explain. Nigeria is a third world country, and we grow very slowly. Although when we catch something, we run with it. Take for instance, I was at the World Youth Forum in Sharm el Sheikh earlier this year, and there were a lot of tech startups that were there. And one of the things that I realized was I saw a lot of innovative ideas and solutions that were working in different countries that they came to showcase at the event. And most of these ideas were not even in Nigeria. So I was talking to one of my folks that we left in Nigeria together, and I was telling him that look at these things, they don't exist in Nigeria. If you take an idea like this with funding and you come to Nigeria, you become the next big thing. It's as simple as that. So when people leave the diaspora and come back to Nigeria, it is not necessarily because Nigeria is working. It's because this is just like a country after war. It's just like going to Liberia after the war, or basically moving to Ukraine once Russia is done with their whole occupation, basically. So it is a fertile ground to exploit, basically. So I don't think it's because Nigeria is a good country. I think it's because Nigeria is an untapped resource. It is a young population, who have not had access to certain things, and these are the things that if they are being exposed to, you can make a whole lot of money from. So I don't really think people come back to Nigeria because they're interested in Nigeria, because Nigeria works. It's because they see a potential market for their business.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Solomon, for that. So I'll move to the next question real fast. So on the flip side of migration, there's also no there's the bad side of migration and there's the good side. So let us talk about the good side of migration. So there's this economic benefit that comes with migration. There's this increase of international remittance from immigrants, foreign exchange revenue and foreign direct investment, and also an inflow of dollar to the Nigeria economy. Let's not forget this issue of solving unemployment in Nigeria, because we have a huge gap of people unemployed in Nigeria. So do you think this migration is a good thing? Do you think the government should try to balance it out, encourage migration?
Please, can you please ask the question again?
Oh, okay. So I said on the flip side of things, there's always a bad side to something and also the good side. So on the good side of things, we can see the economic benefit of migration, the increase of international remittance from immigrants. They're always sending money to their family, to their friends and family here in Nigeria. The increase in foreign exchange revenue, direct investments, and also an inflow of dollar to the Nigerian economy. And there's this thing Japa has caused, like people leaving their job, like resigning their job and traveling out of the country. And the unemployed populations can actually take up those jobs left. So do you think the government should encourage this migration or not?
Well, I am not in a position to say that the government should encourage migration. That can only be determined by my oga at the top. Anyways, I would say that even if the government encourages immigration and all of that, are they the ones that are going to fund it? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. An average Nigerian can sincerely not afford to send their child to school abroad or to leave Nigeria without actually selling their properties. Let's just be realistic. And I think a country like ours that has a very poor economy is one that would, begin to depend on investments like the ones you talked about, because, and a country like the United States would not bank on us to improve their economy per se. We will be like a last resort. We are more like cheap labor to them, basically. So I wouldn't say that the government should, encourage immigration, because at the end of the day, you realize that it's young people with ideas that need a place to thrive that eventually leave the country. And that is why you begin to hear, stories of young Nigerians who have been in Nigeria for a long time, go to a developed country, and within a short period of time, they have a lot of things they've built. They have a lot of success stories. Am I saying it's bad? No. I'm just saying that instead of the government encouraging that, why not empower young people, who have these ideas, and give them platform, let them thrive, let them create things that will last a lifetime. I mean, you see companies like Amazon and the likes coming to Nigeria to come and recruit tech talents. it happens all the time, all the time. They are coming in to get the best of us, and then we are left with guys who are just venturing into the field, to learn and scale up in that field. So I think instead of encouraging emigration from the country, I think the government should get to to do their job in giving young people an enabling and a thriving environment, to harness their skills, their potentials to build, lasting innovation that would even contribute positively to the economy of the country.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Solomon. Mr. Yusuf, what's your take on this, please?
Sorry. What was the question again?
Okay.
Yeah, but benefit of Japa.
Yes.
It does not have a benefit. It does not because if we want to look at, and the comparison is foreign remittances to our domestic revenue. It's because for a country to, I'm not an economics person, but I know that once your revenue is high, once your revenue is more than your expenditure, you don't need to borrow to fund projects. But
Okay.
as it is currently, we have a revenue problem in Nigeria. In fact, Zainab Ahmed, the Minister of Finance, she confirmed it that we have a revenue problem in Nigeria. So because we have a revenue problem, and like I said, our leaders are not creative, so we borrow. In fact, we are not. Initially, we used to borrow for capital projects. The bridges you see, road construction.
Road construction, yes.
Those ones, capital projects. Initially, that was what we used to borrow for. Then Buhari government, they are borrowing for expenditure that includes funding Aso Rock. I'm serious. It's that severe. You understand? So if those Nigerians that will send little remittances after they've paid tax and spent their money in that economy, they will now send something home for the remittance. It does not balance. It's not a scale that is balanced. It's not balanced at all. And before now, people used to leave the country to say, let me go abroad for a year or two,
Okay.
hustle or go to school, then I'll come back home. Now I can assure you that people are no longer doing that. In fact, if you look at the kinds of people that are traveling out, that are leaving the country, they are top professionals in their field.
Okay.
Nigerians are doing 2-3 masters, abroad because they don't want to leave home. People are leaving Nigeria to pandemic-focused China, despite the language barrier. People are going to China, to Korea. People are going to Saudi Arabia because they want to leave the country. So because they know that once they go to those Asian countries and they spend a year or two, it is a direct link for them. It is easier for them to, from there, move to Europe or to America or to any other continent that they want to go to. Like, it is that worse that people leave the comfort of their homes to places where they don't even understand the language. You understand? So I have debated again. The question is, the upsides of Japa.
Yes.
In correlation with remittance and revenue, there are no upsides. We are losing our best. And so some people are going, others will replace them. Does that not reduce the unemployment level? There are no businesses in Nigeria in comparison. Okay, let me quickly say something. From January 2021
Okay.
to June of this year, 1.9 million Nigerians they have collected their passport from January 2021. That's in 1.5 years. And Aregbesola, the Minister of Interior, said that that's like the highest that has happened in recent times. So let's assume that out of those 1.9, let's be magnanimous. Let's assume that 1.8 have traveled out. It's a lie. It's not possible. But let's assume that 1.8 million people have traveled out.
Okay.
1.8 out of 200 million. Do you see the dichotomy? Do you see that it does not work like that? Now, 1.8 does not even shake 200 million. So when people say that everyone is traveling, Nigeria will suffer. The only problem is that it is professionals that are leaving the country. And once professionals leave your country, your economy will suffer. And that's why I said that if people are living, if people were living to just go and get knowledge, say
Okay. And
win
bring
an
it back and
interview,
bring it back to Nigeria and come back
and
to
bring it
Nigeria.
back to it would have been
Yes.
perfect. That was what was obtainable. But now people are living because they know that before Nigeria kill me, I have to find my way. So places they don't even understand their language. That is how worse it is. To places they don't understand the language. But they know that those places that they are going, they are conducive environment for one to thrive. And if they work hard enough, they will make it. In Nigeria, if you work hard, Nigeria does not even reward hard work. Let's not even go there.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yusuf. So, your answer about professionals leaving the country will bring me to my last question for this episode of Vigilance. So, how do you think the government can actually reduce the brain drain in Nigeria since professionals are leaving?
They should collect money. Is that my question?
Yes, yes.
They should fund ASU. They should fund ASU. They should fund the educational system. They should fund ASU. See, in the 80s, if you don't study law, engineering, or medicine, you are considered a failure. And if so, but other countries of the world, they have developed that. In the US, for example, now, if you have a first degree in chemistry, the US is looking for you. Chemistry is hot cake.
Okay.
If you are a first class graduate of chemistry in Nigeria, there are no readily available labs for you to work. If you are a first class graduate of chemistry, after your master's, you still go and teach chemistry in secondary school. I'm not saying that, yes, I studied education, so I'm a teacher. I'm not saying that teaching is bad or education is bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that people who are teachers should be people who want to be teachers, not because it is the last
Circumstances. Not because of-
you understand?
okay.
Not like it is the circumstance that is leading to that point. So I think the most important thing, if the government wants to stop this, is fund education. Fund education, create jobs. See, you cannot create jobs in an insecure environment.
Okay.
Do your primary responsibility. That's the first step. Protect our lives and our properties. After you've done that, it's not even the function of government to create jobs, but create a conducive environment for jobs to thrive, for businesses to thrive. Once businesses thrive, they will spend the money. The money will be in circulation. They will spend, those same money. It will be in circulation. It's not this sachet economy that we are doing, that everything is now in sachet. So create a conducive environment, for.
Hello, Mr. Yusuf. Hello. Okay, I think we lost Mr.
The
Yusuf.
fund.
Hello, Mr. Yusuf. We lost you for quite some
Hello,
time.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. What was the last thing I said?
That the Nigerian government should stop the sachet economy.
Yes, and they should create an environment for businesses to thrive, and fund education. Let fund research institutes. In if you enter University of Ibadan, there are up to 10 research institutes. Fund them. Let people do research. Let people learn that, okay, this is how to grow an economy. Not this one that we are doing. That also will go on strike today. The one person will go on strike tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. No, there's no society can thrive that way. None.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yusuf, for that. Mr. Solomon, what's your take on this?
Thank you. Mr. Yusuf has said quite a lot. And before I start, I would like to just make a reference to what he said earlier, that Nigeria doesn't reward hard work. And that is why it is sad. That is only a country in Nigeria that you hear things like Ishekolo, which loosely translates that hard work doesn't equate money. You see, people who do the work don't get the money. It's people who are, in quotes, smart about it, that get rewarded. So how can the country help? I was on my way back from Colombia to Nigeria, and at the Istanbul International Airport, I bumped into two Nigerian lecturers from FUTA. Obviously, they were going to Italy, and while I was conversing with the man, this was sometimes around late May, early June this year, and he was lamenting about the whole ASU strike. So now it takes me back to what Mr. Yusuf said about funding education. It's really sad. I have cousins, in federal universities in Nigeria, and you hear them say things like the handouts that they are being used, they are given to learn in classes, something that has been used for the last 30, 40 years. That's the reality. So yes, when we are talking about funding the educational sector in the country, it goes beyond just funding them. You need to ensure that these guys are up to date. Most of the things that are being taught in school are obsolete. These things do not work. I studied architecture at the Polytechnic of Ibadan. While studying architecture in school, I can tell you that these lecturers do not encourage, they do not embrace anything new. They are used to this is how it is being done. So,
That's actually
it's exactly it's a whole reform kind of thing. It's more, yes, funding is very, very important. And in terms of funding research institutes, it's very, very important. You'll find that most research institutes in Nigeria only do production. They don't do research. They only do what's it called, reproduction. That's what they do. They don't have anything in core research that they do. And all of these things, it plays out in the long run. So I agree with Mr. Yusuf, when it comes to funding and funding the educational sector. I think the educational sector requires a whole lot of funding. And also I think infrastructure is also very important. But then when the government says they want to do infrastructure, it's just a way to to embezzle money. That is why they will not put money in education. They rather put money in infrastructure, because it's a way to siphon money unnoticed. Also, protecting the lives and properties of people living in this country is very vital. Take for instance, not everybody can afford to fly a plane from Ibadan. Take for example to Abuja. If I'm going to book a flight for this evening to Abuja from Ibadan, I'll most likely pay 130,000 naira, and as of December last year was about 27,000 naira, just for the sake of context. So if that is the case, a lot of people who are seeking opportunities in places like that will be unable to go for the fear of the unknown on the road. There's this popular joke, very funny joke, but at the same time highly insensitive, that says when you want to travel from Ibadan to Lagos, to Abuja, or from Lagos to Abuja by road, the cost of bus transportation is about, say, 15,000 naira. But they tell you that, you should go along with the extra 2 million in case you are kidnapped and you have to pay ransom. So these are the issues. Lagos Business School, for example, has been doing tremendously well over the years, but they have been unable to produce a groundbreaking research that they've done. Why? In this climate, at this time, some things are still not possible, and some things are being done. So it's a long way to go. It's a long walk to freedom. It's a long walk to freedom, and I think we all have active roles to play in this thing. Mr. Yusuf spoke about values earlier, and that is the reality. Everybody has this this monger mentality. Everybody just wants a piece of the cake. Nobody wants things to work, and at the end of the day, all of these things add up. In bits they do not, but collectively they add up, and everything that we see today as a reflection of the kind of community that we are building. I think that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon and Mr. Isu, for joining me on this episode, and thank you for the detailed explanation. Any last thoughts, Mr. Isu?
My last thought is that in the US, there's an American dream, and
Okay.
the American dream is, that there is. I think the summary is that is the summary of Omoluabi, that there is there is value in hard work. There's virtue in hard work.
Okay.
In Nigeria, the Nigerian dream is the dream of national cake. Everybody wants to eat in Nigeria. We are a society that has faulty values, and we are also a reflection of our leadership. If we don't change the way we behave, Nigeria will not be good. That's my final thought.
Thank you, Mr. Isu, for that. Mr. Solomon, any last thoughts?
Am I permitted to speak Yoruba?
Yes, but you have to translate for our listeners.
Okay. Okay, let me just say it. I mean, if we are going to demand certain things, we have to do the work ourselves. We have to do the intangibles.
Okay. Hello?
What do I mean? There are times
Hello,
where
Mr. Solomon.
I've
Sorry,
said that
we lost
I do not
you.
want to. All right. So I was saying that there are certain things
Yeah, we
that
lost you for
if
a bit. Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So there are certain things that if we want to do, we have to get there and do the work, including the intangibles. And I will explain why. I am part of the Nigerian people that would say that I do not want to, I don't want a dirty environment. Hence, I'm not going to litter the environment. And when I buy stuff and I'm done eating, I do not throw it on the, by the roadside or by the gutter, except I find a trash can. you know but there are times where, while I am with them, I just subconsciously I throw it on the floor, and then when I remember, I go back, I pick it up. you know and sometimes it's those things that you do when nobody is watching you, when nobody is there to hold you accountable, and everything still boils down to our value system. So if you're going to make Nigeria work, we have to do better and do away with the idea that Nigeria can never work, Nigeria is never this, Nigeria is never that. If Nigeria is going to work, we are the ones that are going to do the work, and we have to do the work even when no one is watching, and when there's no immediate reward or any gratification that is attached to it. Thank you.
Hard work
Thank,
is alien to Nigeria. Hard work is alien to Nigerian people.
Yes, so
thank,
I'm telling you.
I'm honestly speaking.
thank you,
Have you?
Mr. Yusuf and Mr. Solomon, for joining me on the podcast and also for educating our listeners. That will be all on today's episode of Vigilance. Kindly follow Vigil on all social media platforms and download the video app on Google Play Store. Bye. Do you want to be politically oriented? Do you want a platform where you get updated with social political issues? Then Vigilance is the right place for you. Join Falashadi Adebi every Fridays 4 p.m. WAT to discuss socio political issues in society.